The breathtaking setting of the MonteRosa range and the majestic aspect of the Matterhorn are entrancingly beautiful. From time immemorial, they have held mountaineers and hikers spellbound. These glacial landscapes have been around for millennia. People who enjoy and protect these glaciers have a special duty. They must ensure that development is sustainable so that future generations will also have a piece of unspoiled nature to appreciate. Sustainability is also a guiding principle for Holxim. We take responsible use of natural resources very seriously. Only those who live with nature and protect it can live from it in the long term. Holxim quarries stone to produce cement, gravel and concrete. We put a lot of effort into creating new habitats for flora and fauna in areas where we have mined. Holxim is geared up for innovation. We invest in new environmentally friendly building materials and sponsor pioneering projects such as the new MonteRosa hut. This is the site for the rock crystal, 100 meters above the old cabane du Mont-Rose. It took 6 years to plan and a construction team has been working here since June. The new MonteRosa hut will be a high-tech construction and a model of sustainability. It represents a collaboration between ETH Zurich and the Swiss Alpine Club SAC, supported by Holxim and other partners. The rock is hard and time is short. The construction workers install the concrete core and a series of sockets in the rock. The foundation must be in place before the onset of winter. Construction will then start next year. Today is a special day though, because the foundation stone is being laid. A helicopter brings guests to the building site, sponsors, owners and architects. 5 p.m. Meinrad Eberle from ETH Zurich opens the celebrations. Then the sponsors give their speeches.
The hut, or rather this high-tech rock crystal, meets the very highest demands in architecture, building services, engineering, energy supply and sustainability. Holxim is proud to have contributed to the success of this important structure, both by providing concrete as a building material and also by acting as a sponsor. We wish everyone involved every success in this fantastic project. Thank you.
After the speeches, the ceremony begins. Caspar Wenger carries the time capsule onto the site, and plans, contemporary documents and the sponsor's best wishes are placed in the tube. The capsule is sealed and walled up into the foundation for later generations to discover. It's a great moment for the owners and sponsors, and for Holxim too.
We invest in research. We believe this to be a visionary, absolutely pioneering project. And we also believe that it will bring great benefits for Switzerland as a center of research and for ETH and Holxim.
Glasses are then raised to the new MonteRosa hut and the foundation stone is laid. 12 days later on the site and the concrete foundation has been completed. Now the steel construction engineers are at work assembling the steel grid, the actual foundation. The new MonteRosa hut will then be built on the steel construction next year, using prefabricated timber sections. But before that, the long alpine winter will descend. Spring 2009. Master carpenter Egon Buhmann makes a visit and site managers and architects for the new MonteRosa hut exchange progress reports. On his computer in the office, Bruno Schacher draws the building elements of the hut, every single one. He receives the planning data digitally from ETH Zurich. The MonteRosa hut will be 6 stories high, built from 420 prefabricated timber elements. It will be almost self-sufficient in energy thanks to the very latest technology. Sustainability is the watchword, from construction to operation. The computer sends the data to the machine. It simulates the cut, quick check, then produces the element from Valais spruce, accurate to the millimeter. Production has been running at full speed since the beginning of March. Floor and wall elements are assembled and lined with insulation mats, and pipes are laid. Getting the materials to the building site and assembly will place heavy demands on logistics, and the weather has to cooperate. Still 4 weeks to go before construction can begin. The construction workers are optimistic.
The project is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Everyone is completely committed to the task. This is a unique project, and we are well prepared.
It's 8 o'clock in Zermatt. Egon Buhmann and his carpenters prepare for the flight to the building site. Unfortunately, it's snowing in the mountains. There's nothing to do but wait. The helicopter stays grounded. Suddenly, there's a flurry of activity. The skies above the building site have brightened. The short spell of fine weather must be made the most of. With the barest essentials in terms of materials, the carpenters fly to the site, located at almost 3,000 meters. The first day of construction can begin. Riffelborden at the Gornergrat Mountain Railway Station. Flight personnel and construction workers prepare the elements for transport by helicopter. But the building site is swathed in mist, and the helicopter is not able to fly. Then, at about 5 o'clock, the helicopter arrives. Visibility is good in the mountains. The first construction element takes to the air. But the pilot unloads the cargo again. The downdraft from the rotor increases the weight.
He says the helicopter is carrying more than a ton.
Yeah. It's okay.
We can't continue. We have to transport the elements individually if necessary.
A quick question. How are things going? Are you under time pressure?
Yes, we are actually. For most of the day we haven't been able to do anything. Now things should start moving, but they can't because the construction elements are too heavy. You can see that a rotation is limited to 420 kilos. The pilot registers almost a ton on the scales. We will now lift the elements one by one and see what the scales say. Otherwise we'll have to fly each platform individually.
In the end, the first batch of floor elements is flown up individually until night descends. The building site presents itself in early morning light. Day 2 of construction starts. Here is the star-shaped steel grid that will form the foundation for the timber construction. Yesterday, the builders cleared the site of 2 meters of snow. Today, the timber elements for the basement will be flown in and assembled. Everything must go quickly. Time is money.
It must be finished today, as we only have the big helicopter for the heavy elements tomorrow morning.
Every 9 minutes, the helicopter takes the floor elements from Riffelborden to the building site, each one weighing more than 400 kilos. Like the pieces of a jigsaw, they're fitted precisely into the steel grid. By noon, the inner circle of the floor has been laid. In the afternoon, the helicopter brings the outer floor elements. Cooperation between the carpenters, pilots and flight personnel is perfect. It's tough precision work at almost 3,000 meters. At 4 o'clock, the last of the 20 elements has been placed. Foreman Martin Bornet checks the measurements.
I have now remeasured the steel construction to check if everything is level. If the measurements are incorrect and it is not level, the elements for the upper levels may not fit.
Time to knock off. The construction workers go to their quarters in the old MonteRosa hut. Night falls over the building site. Third day of construction, 10 a.m. The helicopter brings some visitors, the civil engineer and a flight attendant. Today, the main walls will be erected. The structure's 4 upper stories will rest on them. For civil engineer Jan Stäbler, it's a critical moment. The walls must be precisely fitted into the joints and bolted tightly to the steel grid. Now all that's missing is the helicopter. Then at 11:30, the K-Max, a special helicopter for heavy loads, brings the first wall. Beneath the rope dangles 1,720 kilos.
Oh, aber die dürfen nicht am drücken hier. Kijk, oh!
Assembly takes 2 hours. At 1:45, the last of the 10 basement walls is finally in place. That was a lot of stress this morning.
It's always like that when a helicopter is used. A lot of waiting and then no end of stress.
The
elements are now only roughly in place and will be put up properly and bolted after lunch.
What's next?
The outer and inner walls.
Are they coming today?
Tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
But no more outer walls today.
No, no more flying today.
The basic structure of the MonteRosa hut is up, just 3 days after the construction began. 4 weeks have passed since our last visit to the construction site. The workers have now hoisted 5 stories and the outer walls have been erected. Around 20 craftsmen are at work here now. Window fitters are now putting in the windows, specially made to withstand the raging storms that often sweep over the peaks up here. The joiners are now working on the interior. The basic structure of the first floor cafeteria with its timber beams is complete. The row of windows that acts as a light and energy trap is also in place. The site manager is satisfied.
Things have progressed very well. Week 5 of construction. The second to last floor, number 5, has also arrived. It's already up. A tremendous effort by the contractors working here.
At 11 this morning, some VIPs pay a visit. The building commission wants to see how the work is coming along. In the party are Meinrad Erbeler of ETH Zurich and Reto Jenach, representative of the building's owner SAC. Site manager Hans Zerneven shows the guests around. He takes them up to the 5th floor, explaining details and answering questions. The guests are impressed with the progress made on the building.
I am very optimistic, not least because the crew and people we see here on the building site have produced excellent work so far. And what is really great is that they help each other, even though there is nothing about that in the contract.
Still 16 weeks till the new MonteRosa hut opens. A warm alpine summer morning on the building site, 11 o'clock. Hans Zerneven gathers the craftsmen for the big construction meeting. What work still remains? Who has to coordinate with whom? The roof will be added today, signaling the halfway point in the MonteRosa building project. The topping out ceremony will be held that evening. Time to take stock.
The moment of shock came about 11 weeks ago. That was when a bad weather front once again engulfed the site, which had been cleared and was ready for work to begin, with more than 2 meters of snow. There have been many great moments. On the one hand, this is of course the whole building phase, when you see the object that you only knew from plans and photo montages suddenly growing up around you. Everything is in fast motion when something like this is built in just 2 months. Actually, every visit to the site is something special, especially today, of course, when the first section of the roof is put on. That's always a highlight. I think it will be one today too, and it will be the most special moment so far.
1 o'clock, the helicopter brings the first of the 18 roof elements. It's fixed in place quickly and precisely. Assembling the upper floors was a real challenge to the construction workers, as none of the elements has a right angle. By 4 o'clock, half the roof is on. Martin Bornet is looking forward to the weekend. He has spent the last 10 weeks working up here. How are you after 10 weeks up here? Aren't you suffering from the altitude yet?
Slowly but surely. But when you keep seeing progress made, how the building grows, it's just about bearable.
How long will you stay up here?
I don't know yet. Probably another 4 weeks.
5 o'clock, and the moment everyone has waited for. Foreman Martin Bonnet carries the crowning tree to the roof. The little decorated fir tree is bolted to the crest according to an age-old tradition. The shell is up, half the work is done. The construction workers and their guests raise their glasses. They have every reason to celebrate. Just 12 weeks to go until the new MonteRosa hut opens its doors. It's Friday morning at ETH Zurich. Andrea de Plazas and his colleagues plan the next steps. It's now all about the details, color scheme, door handles and carpeting. Andrea de Plazas and his team have produced the design for the new MonteRosa hut with their architectural students at ETH Zurich. But what do they aim to achieve?
The mountain hut as such was not actually that interesting for me, but I liked the idea of a building in a place that of course cannot be linked to civilization in any way, or at least not to the extent that we are used to in the city. In other words, no drainage, no water, no electricity. All these requirements cannot be taken for granted. So the students had to deal again with the question of what a building actually is. How does it work? Where do we get these things that we need every day? And of course I'm certain, I'm sticking my neck out here, that it will be the best mountain hut that you have ever seen.
The short mountain summer draws to a close, but there's still intense activity on the MonteRosa building site. Metal workers add the facade, a demanding task. The protective aluminium sheathing must withstand wind and frost. And one day it will make the building glisten like rock crystal. The in-house power plant is almost ready. 100 solar panels on the south-facing facade will supply the house with electricity from sunlight. Now the site manager has to be everywhere at once.
It's true that everything is being done right now. We have more than 30 people working on the site. We are getting things ready for the painters, putting up fire-resistant paneling and preparing the kitchen for fitting. Doors and beds are being installed. It's the final phase.
Hans Zurnieven takes us to the basement, the building's nerve center. This box controls all the systems in the building: heating, ventilation and power.
We have to check that everything is wired correctly.
No problem.
After all, we don't want water suddenly coming out of the ventilation system.
The electricians are laying 6 kilometers of cables. The solar power will be stored in batteries. The hut will be heated by solar power and waste heat. It has its own sewage plant to treat wastewater. Fresh water comes from the underground storage cave 40 meters above the hut, but the highlight is the digital control system. It was developed by Lino Gutzella at ETH Zurich and his doctoral student Samuel Fuchs.
We want the hut to be as self-sufficient as possible. We want to use only the energy provided by the sun, water and the weather and still ensure comfortable operation.
Using a sophisticated algorithm, the computer will calculate the building's optimal energy needs using occupancy figures, weather forecasts and in-house data, controlling all in-house installations remotely from Zurich.
The key idea behind the system is replacing fuel, whether it emits CO2 or not, using intelligent controls.
And what works well at the new MonteRosa hut is also destined for use later in buildings at lower altitudes.
We hope to learn something from building in these very difficult climatic conditions that we can then apply elsewhere.
It's now evening on the MonteRosa building site. After another hard week of work, the craftsmen fly down to the valley and their homes. They will return early on Monday morning. Still 35 days until the new MonteRosa hut opens. Dawn over the MonteRosa Massif. The new hut is still in the shade of the 4,000-meter peak. The scaffolding was recently removed. It's 8 a.m. and the start of the last day of construction. The terrace is still not complete. The carpenters fit the last planks. The final spurt on the building site. Technician Ivan Löcher checks installations in the basement control system. And systems planner Matthias Sulzer inspects the in-house waste treatment plant in the basement. Site manager Hans Zurnieven checks the final installations. Only a few hours to go until the hut opens. What's the last thing now for you to do?
The very last thing is to clear up, clean and generally organize everything.
And is it a success? Has everything gone well up to today?
I haven't discovered anything wrong so far. I have walked through the building a few times already, but everything appears to be as it should be, according to the plans.
We also take a tour of the building. We take the cascading staircase to the upper stories. The washrooms. The hut has 14 wash basins and 4 showers. There are 18 rooms in the hut with beds for 120 people. Still 29 hours to go to the opening. Work is complete.
The people have worked well, and everyone gave 200% in the final few weeks. And we did it all as a team.
A sunny autumn day begins. The new MonteRosa hut is complete and will be opened in 5 hours. The tables in the large dining hall are laid. Around 100 invited guests are expected to arrive in the afternoon and will be the first to spend the night in the new MonteRosa hut. The kitchen staff have their hands full with work. The kitchen has all the very latest equipment, including an oven for baking. Warden Horst Brunschen ran the old hut for many years. He has been here for the last 3 days. So how does it feel being a warden in a new hut?
Well, everything is completely different from the old hut. We have running warm water for a start. At the old place below, we had to melt snow and cook everything on a cold stove. Here it comes straight out of the tap. Simply marvelous.
The first guests arrive. They've walked across the glacier to the new MonteRosa hut. Among the guests are Reto Jenach and Peter Planche of the SAC.
We are very happy and satisfied, and of course very proud and grateful that the project has borne fruit. It took a long time, but today I am delighted at what I see. Everybody here is delighted.
And what does the head of the Hut Commission have to say about the new MonteRosa hut?
It will be a kind of flagship for the SAC, not least with regard to energy supply and wastewater disposal. So in that sense you can consider it a laboratory.
This laboratory was financed with the help of sponsors who paid 2/3 of the more than the 6 million francs it cost to build. Why?
The MonteRosa hut focuses on sustainability and is more than 90% self-sufficient. And we expect these technologies to be used and applied in buildings everywhere. So we are extremely interested not only in concrete, but also in the structure and applying these technologies, these values, and everything we learned from this project.
Meinrad Eberle. He launched the project in 2005 to mark ETH Zurich's Jubilee. What does he hope to see the new hut achieve?
This project will motivate many people to come more often to the mountains and find pleasure in the world up here. It will ensure that the technologies in the building will be used in more projects. And I hope too, of course, that aesthetics will play a greater role in buildings in future.
The big moment has arrived. It's after 1 and the guests gather on the terrace for the opening ceremony. Meinrad Eberle hands over the key to the hut to Peter Planche, the president of the SAC's MonteRosa section. It's now the proud owner of the new high-tech building. The new MonteRosa hut is officially open. The rock crystal shines. The new MonteRosa hut glistens. It is a masterpiece of Swiss engineering and a symbol for the country's innovative power. It opens a whole new chapter in Swiss alpine building. ETH, the Confederation and cantons, companies and private patrons have made this breakthrough possible. Holxim is very proud to have been part of this successful team. Cooperation between people and nature can achieve remarkable things, and there are no limits to a trailblazing idea.